Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
About 10. Live in a hippie commune out in the sticks, living in this 3-story house built around a tree. I'm in the top attic room. Late at night, hear a noise from outside. Look out the window and see something moving on a neighboring tree, about the size and shape of a chimpanzee. Moves like one, swings down through the branches, and disappears into the darkness. I've always been afraid of apes. I told one of the comrades about it the next morning, and he said it was a yowie, and started telling me about the Aboriginal Dreamtime stories about the hairy men. Australian bush, not even once. Got literally dozens of weird tales of shit I've seen out there. This was on Friday, near a small town in northern New South Wales, in quite dense bushland. Walking alone through the bush, looking for a safe place to camp. Illegally, so I had to be fairly hidden. Keep finding signs that other people had been living in the area, although it looked as though it had been some time since they'd been there. It all looked abandoned. Some dead animal carcasses, broken sunglasses, lighters were lying around. Eventually set up camp towards the edge of the forest, about 50 meters away from the nearest sign of other people. During the night, go out to take a piss. See a light flashing through the trees. White light, as though from a torch, not a firelight. Scramble back into my tent, put my light out, hope they didn't see my light. Later, hear what sounds like distant singing through the trees. Ignore scratching sounds outside and go to sleep. In the morning, some guy comes out of nowhere. Says he managed this national park for 10 years. Says it's not safe. He came to put out a fire someone had lit during the night. About 20 meters away from where I was. Just thought it was weird that someone didn't put their fire out. I guess they didn't want me there. Note taken. I fucked off. Not very scary, but a bit weird all up, considering that last time I'd been in that same area, not too long ago, there'd been no trace of anyone. A couple years ago, out camping with a friend, go down to the creek at night to do a spot of fishing, just rigged up and cast out. We stood there for about 20 seconds, then my mate and I turned to each other at the same time. I say, "Do you want to go?" And we haul our shit out of there and leg it back to camp fast as. We both got the fear at the same time. I don't know what would have happened if we'd stayed, but we weren't exactly going to stick around and find out. I know this has happened to other people. It just seems like in certain places in the bush, you just know you're not welcome. Driving through the Hunter Valley at night, followed by Min lights. Some asshole behind me with his headlights dimmed so they were barely visible. To my right is the Min. Behind me is some dodgy fucker. And to my left, there are all these bonfires arranged in a sort of line along the fields, covering at least a few kilometers. Other people in my car were supremely unconcerned and didn't seem to think anything was odd at all. Kept pointing out all this shit around us, and they were just like, "Huh? Yeah, cool. How far have we got?" etc. Pull into the car park of some motel in the middle of nowhere. Mr. No Headlights slows as he passes, but keeps going. When we get back on the road, I don't see any more Min lights, and we left the bonfires behind us. If you don't know what Min lights are, they are unexplained balls of light which will follow your car along the road. Lots of people have seen them, but no one knows what they are. Also, one thing I just remembered about that forest I stayed in on Friday night is that around midnight, I suddenly felt really nauseated, like I was just about ready to crawl outside and hurl my guts up, but I also really didn't want to go outside for some reason. So I stayed in my tent, eventually drifted off, and when I woke I felt totally fine. But while feeling sick, I was also feeling really depressed, which is not like me at all. I felt tosca, saudade, nausea, everything shitty all at once. Thought that was weird. Pick is some nest I found nearby. About a year ago. Sunset. Just chilling on some lonely stretch of beach with my bro at the time. Keep hearing some noises in the bushes on the cliffs behind us. My bro assures me that it's just an animal, and he'll go check it out. Before he does, I call out to it, figuring that if it's an animal, it'll keep moving when it hears my voice. But if it's a person, it'll stop in response. It stops. Whatever it is, figure two's better than one. So we grab our machete and Bowie knife respectively and charge at it, full cavalry style. Slow down when we realize that nothing's running from us. Reach a stop. See a feral man sprinting away through the trees. We bailed back to the truck before it got fully dark. We actually left some food behind for him, but he looked like a guy not in his right mind and made me wonder how many others like him are out there. Heard stories from other people about catching glimpses of feral people out in the bush. Makes you wonder about all those hikers who go missing.
Tosca, Saudade. What? Feral man sounds pretty creepy, but how could you tell?
Tosca and Saudade are Russian and Portuguese words, respectively, meaning something like great distress and sadness. Kind of untranslatable. I described him better in the last post, but had to cut it short because it was too long, apparently. We got a look at him before he ran. He was fairly young-looking, had long matted hair and a full beard, and he had crazy eyes. Like we could see the whites at the top of his eyes. You could tell he'd been out there for some time. His clothes were ragged, and I don't believe he was wearing shoes. I know there are feral people around. For instance, in the pics I posted, you can see evidence of them. Remember, those pics were taken pretty far out. I guess I was feral too when I was homeless and having a rough patch. I took to the forests rather than stick around civilization. It's actually not that uncommon to find traces of them, but to actually see one is pretty rare. Australia is a big place, and it hides a lot of things, and people.
Grandma tells me that Grandpa was actually haunted by the spirits after he came home from the war. She claims to have seen them a few times when she woke up in the middle of the night. She said they would talk what sounded like Vietnamese, and it was clearly audible. Then they would just walk out her bedroom door. I figured nothing of her story. My grandpa probably had PTSD, and my grandma was trying to shield him by making shit up, or she lost her marbles. One night, I was thirsty and got myself a glass of water in the kitchen. Suddenly, I could definitely smell cigarette smoke, which made no sense since nobody smoked in my house. I turn around, and in the dining room, I see 3 Vietnamese-looking soldiers standing there in a group. One of them puffing a cigarette, throwing it away, and then they all moved into the living room. These guys didn't look like ghosts, though. They weren't ethereal or transparent. They just looked like men. I was too scared to move or follow them. I just watched from the kitchen as they moved into the living room. I made my way into the living room and didn't see them anywhere. I just stood there for a little while trying to make sense of what happened, but finally made my way back to bed and tried for a few hours to sleep. Since then, I've had regular encounters with these 3 Vietnamese soldiers. They always have a look of disgust when they see me, and it's pretty scary to think they might do something to me one day.
From the age of 5 to 12, I lived in a house that was over 100 years old, made of stone and was used for slaves before the Civil War. A metal detector in the yard would go crazy at nearly every point in the yard. My stepdad used to find shackles and other random pieces of metal. The house was 2 stories. Me, my mom, and my stepdad slept on the 2nd floor. My room was right down the hall from theirs. At the age of 7, I was diagnosed with asthma. Woke up at 2 a.m. having a severe asthma attack, screaming for Mom. She ran in and brought me my inhaler. Told her there was a man walking from my closet to my bed and disappearing. This had continued to happen for at least 5 minutes. A figure would just appear at my closet, walk to my bed, then disappear and repeat the same thing. She told me it was just my asthma medicine that caused hallucinations. As soon as she left, the same thing occurred. A figure of a man appears at my closet, and slowly walks towards my bed, disappears, and reappears at the closet. Hid under the covers and cried myself to sleep. Years later, when I was 15, she told me that she was just blowing smoke up my ass because she didn't want to scare me. She hated that house. I have plenty of stories about that house. I still have nightmares about the inside of that hellhole. I wouldn't sleep there again if I was paid to. Sorry if that story was a little poorly written. Just took some sleeping medicine 30 minutes ago and it's starting to kick in. If anyone is interested, I have a few more stories I'd be willing to share. After seeing the same thing every night for a few weeks, I begin to think that this isn't just my mind playing tricks on me. Refuse to sleep in that room any longer. Was diagnosed with insomnia at age 8 because I was sleeping maybe 3 to 4 hours every night. Tell my mom it's not that I wasn't tired. I was just afraid. She lets me sleep on the couch downstairs. Everything goes well for about a week. I start to settle in and get used to my new bed, even though there were 4 windows in the living room with no curtains, and that always freaked me out. Sleeping meds tend to keep me passed out until dawn. The next week I wake up at 1:30 a.m. exactly because I hear someone walking downstairs. Mom? No answer. Hear someone walking back upstairs. Figured someone was just checking up on me. Fall back asleep. Next morning I ask her why she didn't answer me last night when she walked downstairs. Anon. I didn't come downstairs last night. You must have been dreaming. Every night at 1:30 a.m. exactly, I wake up and hear footsteps walking up and down the steps. No matter what I do, I cannot sleep through it. Eventually, through much crying and begging, they set me up a mattress in their room and I sleep with them until we move. I thought that would be the end of my problems. Although it made me feel safer, the fact that I could still stay awake and hear things moving around the house just unnerved me. Like I said before, I wouldn't sleep in that house even if I was paid. I still have dreams about being stuck in there. I was never happier than the day we moved from there forever. After finally getting to sleep in their room, I finally got back onto a regular sleep schedule. They sleep with the door open, and my mattress is right next to the door. This means I can see right down the hallway with the moon illuminating it slightly. Their room is also right next to the stairs and my old room. I hate having an open door in a room. It's still a problem that I have to this day. I cannot sleep if there is an open door and I can see out of it. Wake up around 1:15 a.m. randomly again one night, lying wide awake staring out the door. Terrible feeling of anxiety. Can't seem to keep my eyes away from the top of the stairs, knowing that soon whatever walks down, it would be making its usual rounds. 1:30 rolls around and I hear something. It's not coming from the stairs. I hear footsteps coming from my old room. A figure of a man walks through the open door from my old room, stands at the stairs for maybe a minute, then turns and faces towards me. Starts walking towards my bed. Cover my head and scream. Mom jumps up and turns the light on. Can't console me, just telling me it was a bad dream. Move my bed to the opposite side of the room on the other side of their bed. No longer have a problem with this particular ghost. Gives me chills just bringing it up.
Sitting on the couch with my sister and 2 of her friends. From my couch, you can see down the hall towards my room on the left, and my sister's room right before mine. The mother's room is on the right, and the bathroom right before hers. So my room is across from my mother's. We're chillin', laughing, having a good time. and I peek down the hall for no apparent reason. Just as a woman in a pink 50s, I'm going out with my friends for lunch dress, walks from my mother's room to mine. She pushes the door open and goes inside. I see a shadow of her hand reaching for something in my room, next to my gecko cage. I what the fucked super hard, thinking it's my mom. Mama, what are you doing going into my room? Oh wait, catfood.jpg. Watching to see if she comes out for 1 or 2 minutes. She doesn't. So I decide to go ask her what's up. Go into my room. No one. My door has been pushed open. Mom was snoring in her room, wearing a green nightgown. Thinking burglars. Then how the hell did they get past all of us? Check the hole upstairs. Sister and her friends. What the fuck? Super hard to what I told them. Sister freaks out. And they all realize I'm not shitting. I tried to recreate the shadow of the hand on my wall, but the only light source was the light from my gecko tank. And when I tried to move my hand like it did, I couldn't. The shadow was far too bulbous and I couldn't bend my arm to make it the same direction, considering my gecko tank was in the corner of the room. I'm still what the fucking today. This was maybe 6 to 8 months ago. And of course, I tell anyone I saw a ghost. They brush it off like I'm crazy, 'cause that's what people were brought up to do.
Quick backstory. Navy, deployed to Iraq in '07, working on a shipboard system that was being used by the Army. Most soldiers know it as CRAM, counter-rocket artillery and mortar. Basically, it shoots at incoming rockets or mortars in the bases. 2 people stand watch at the mounts for security reasons. 1 person watches the gate at the compound. 1 person mans the console in case of incoming. Standing watch at the gate. Get a call to support repair at another mount. Tell my other watchstander what's going on, take off. He locks up behind me. I come back 15 minutes later. Honk the horn so he can open up. Get pissed off, jump out of the Humvee, start shouting to get his attention. He rounds the corner of a wall looking the complete opposite direction from me. Yell at him to open up. He breaks his neck. Double takes, confused as all hell. How did you do that? Do what? Open the fucking gate. You were just in here, how the hell did you do that? What the fuck are you talking about? Unlock the gate and let me in. I just saw you in here. You were hiding behind the fuel tank. I came around this way so I could get the jump on you. You're seeing shit, stop fucking around and let me in. He lets me in. I park the Humvee. That's when I tell him that I've seen the ghost of a little Iraqi kid running around the compound. The ghost doesn't just run. He spies on us from around corners, darts from structure to structure. The ghost gets surprised when we see him and hides. Me and him both described him exactly. We both saw him at the same time later on that night, hiding behind the same tank. Didn't leave each other's sides the rest of the watch after we both saw him. TLDR. He saw the same ghost I had been seeing for a while in the compound. He was chasing the ghost thinking it was me.
Freshman year. Residence Hall is right next to a major freeway. Midnight. Hear an enormous explosion. Windows rattle. Run outside. A tanker exploded on the freeway and took out a couple of cars with it. 4 people died. Days pass. Sleeping fitfully. Hear talking in my room. Figure it's my roommate sleep talking. He had done it on occasion. Look into the mirror at his bunk. He's not there. Nope. Under the covers for the rest of the night until I managed to fall back asleep from exhaustion. A month later, wake up. 2 figures standing in the room, shuffling back and forth. Door was locked. Roommate fast asleep. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Weird shit eventually just stopped happening. Left for Christmas break, came back, nothing.
Be walking through the park. Begin to have what I can only describe as disjointed déjà vu. My thoughts are identical to the original déjà vu scenario, but my visuals don't match. In fact, I realize I am walking the wrong way around the park, the opposite direction to how it should be. I keep thinking my train of thought, inspired by very specific events from earlier that day, and it all continues to be encompassed by the déjà vu sensation for around a minute. I realize that I'm not only walking the wrong way, but the people are appearing in the wrong order too. Obviously, I don't know what's going to come next because that's not how déjà vu works, but as soon as it happens, I recall it. See two people working out around a corner and I recognize them. It's confirmed for me that this is déjà vu, but I should have been walking clockwise around the trail rather than anti-clockwise. I have never come across this before. Does anyone else have any experience of a déjà vu where something is off? Normally, it's just exactly as it should be. Also, it should be noted that I almost always walk clockwise when I walk around a trail or pace around a room, always have done. And when I walked into the park that day, I was consciously aware of heading the wrong way, but then I just went ahead with it. Did I accidentally break reality? After years of practice, when I get déjà vu, I can sometimes separate it into two kinds, the pre- and post-déjà vu. Pre-déjà vu is foreshadowing. Something insignificant will cause déjà vu. Identifying the source is quick enough if you empty your mind. It's normally a scene or feeling, sometimes a person or object. Regular déjà vu is when it's encountered again, and it comes with a useless prescience or foreboding vibe. It's like an animal instinct telling me something is off. Use it to know who and how to interact with people and situations. Sometimes it's lulzy. Hey Anon, can I show you my tattoo? Time for the lulz. Is it a butterfly with a tiger's pattern on it? But how? I don't know. Sometimes it's horrific. I think something terrible happens to that person soon, but I don't know what except that it's violent. They get beaten and I'm the first person they run to. Too freaked out to be able to help.
6 months ago. Like 10 p.m., got out from the university's gym. Passing through the university, the gym is a different building, and the closest way to the street is passing through the main building. No one is there, and the guards are probably having a break since I don't see or hear one. Note: the entrance there is from the first floor, and the main door to the street is at the basement floor, so I need to take a giant glass staircase to the base floor. Both amphitheater classes' doors are open. There is absolute silence in the school except for my footsteps. At the stairs, suddenly one of the amphitheater doors moves. Nope.eso. I know I am alone because my hearing is higher than normal max human hearing frequency. Start going up the stairs with a pale face. Middle of the stairs, the other door slams shut. Run to the security guard's room at the base floor. Ask them what the fuck is happening. They say no one is in the school but me. Take a security guard with me. Go into the amphitheater class. No one is there. Nope, all the way home in a taxi.
Be 21-ish, living in Mayport, Florida. Supposedly haunted by dead pirates. Late night on the computer. For no reason, I look at the entrance of the room. See the figure of a man. PirateGhost.wma. Turn on the light in the room. Nothing. Turn on the light in the hallway. Nothing. Turn on the light in the bathroom. See the shower curtain move. Man up. Open the shower curtain. Nothing. Every light in the house stayed on until my wife came home. Also, everyone that has ever stayed the night at that house said that they couldn't sleep downstairs. One guy said that all through the night, he kept hearing what sounded like a 2-year-old child playing in the living room right in front of him. That house also had a space under the stairs with a full-size door. 3 different people on 3 different occasions said that they saw fingers poking out from under the door. The back patio was near the San Pablo River. I had lots of people complain of weird shit happening back there at night. I always thought it was just a raccoon or something. My wife told me once that she was back there smoking when she heard wings flapping, like a giant set of wings, and heard whatever was flying crash into the wooded area that separated us from the river, then heard it walking on 2 feet towards her. At exactly the same time, the lights in the neighborhood started to flicker and all of the wildlife noise stopped. She freaked and ran into the house. I always felt a presence but could never see anything, except for that one time I was on the computer. Every time we brought a dog into the house, they would start to freak out in the middle of the night, running all over the place, barking at nothing. I tried doing research on the area to see if there were any reported deaths at the address or in the neighborhood. Nothing. The community was only a few years old at the time anyways. That's when I found out that Mayport used to be a pirate hideaway. It turns out that a lot of that place was haunted.
All right, I don't know what it could be. A demon, a guardian, a ghost that's trying to communicate. Be yesterday. Family and I going to the cheesecake factory. Gotta go out of the way to pick up my brother from his friend's house. We get there. See the dog, like usual, go to the front window, push the curtains away on the left side of the window and just stare at us out of curiosity. Call bro to come out. Finally, he opens the door. Notice now that the right side of the curtain is open. As he's getting in the car, I ask, "Who's standing there?" He must have not heard me correctly because he replied, "Oh, that's just Pedro, the dog." I get a little confused because that's not what I meant. As we're slowly driving off, brother mentions how he was home alone because his friend went to work, and his mom as well. Nope. In shock, I say, "What?" Then who was standing near the curtain looking at us? This thing was in full black, but I couldn't make out the face because of the glare on the window. Mum says, "Maybe it's Thomas." Bro says, "No, I know for a fact I was alone." Joke about it and try to scare ourselves. Drive off like nothing happened. I pretty much just now realized how freaky this was. Why did I make it off like it was no big deal? Fuck me. I should have went in the house.
Not your casual nope story, I guess. And nothing really dark. But here I go. Work in a grocery store stocking shit in the frozen section. Casually stocking things and greeting customers who pass by as I stock shit. One certain man comes out of nowhere. I didn't see him, but I felt him come up to me. I instantly turn around, kind of in a defensive stance. All of my internal systems were literally screaming, "This man is dangerous, stay away!" To be honest, he looked absolutely like any normal person would in nice clothes. He comes up to me and asks me if I was doing all right, and then goes, "Are you tired?" I was at that moment. I had been working 7 hours and I was so close to finally going home. My body was still screaming for me to get away from him. And so was my mind. I casually dealt with him like any customer, going normally. "No sir, I'm doing great today. Do you need help finding anything?" He smiles and creepily says, "No, thank you. Have a good night now," and starts to walk off. I turn around to go back to stocking. I look over my shoulder to the end of the aisle, and I see him looking at me as he's walking away. My body was taking initiative, and I couldn't help myself but give him the most killing glare I could give. I don't even know why. He smiles and walks off. I think it was just a primal instinct in me, but I honestly, for no reason, felt I had to do something. I don't even know. That was less than 5 days ago.
Be me, just got out of junior high and enjoying my summer vacation. Me and my friend were walking around the woods around the neighborhood. At the time, I used a meter-long pipe as a walking stick and protection from violent junkies and transients. I had my pipe with me and we were hiking along this creek bed that ran through the woods. We eventually got to this field that is next to a site with a bunch of Satanist graffiti. Chilled out in the field and had a fire and cracked jokes for a few hours. Friend got a call from his dad and he had to go home. He left and I stayed because I didn't want to go home because of family. The moon was high in the sky, so I killed the fire and started walking on the riverbed back to the road. Was walking for like 10 minutes and started to hear footsteps behind me, like they sounded like they were trying to match mine, but occasionally slipped up. I turned my head around and saw nothing. Just my imagination.txt, kept walking, heard the footsteps again, turned around quickly to see what it was, nothing there. I should note that it wasn't a small creek. The bed was about 20 feet wide and I was in the middle of the creek bed. Got a little freaked out but kept going. Heard the footsteps again. Kept walking to hear the pattern. It sounded like a person. Thought it was a meth head that I just didn't see. Stopped dead in my tracks and reared the pipe up ready to break something. I heard what sounded like a dog running away. By the time I looked behind me, I saw a shadow bolting to the brush by the bed. Like bolting faster than anything I've ever seen. Immediately ran like a little bitch into the woods away from the shadow. Running through the woods towards the back of a gated community. They had one of those yellow gates used to block the end of roads. Kept running. I stopped to catch my breath because I was fat. Heard the footsteps coming behind me. Legs hurt, chest hurt. Kept running anyway. Heard the steps louder and faster. Fucking book it through this bush covered in spines and shit. See the yellow gate. Sprint to the gate faster than I ever have in my life. Roll under the gate and into the holy light of a street lamp. Lay there for a while processing what the fuck just happened. Realize that I was just being chased by some sort of freak of nature. Decide to get up and walk home. On the walk home, I realized that I left my pipe in the woods. Fuck. The next day, I go to my friend's house to tell him what happened, and we go back into the woods armed. He grabs his small crossbow and a BB pistol and puts it in his backpack. We go to my house and grab my pellet rifle. We set off for the woods to find out what happened. After poking around, we go to the site with all the Satan graffiti. My pipe! I yell. My pipe is laying on this concrete slab that used to be a house. This thing is bent, like 90 degrees bent and chewed to fuck. It wasn't a thin pipe either, about as thick as a 12-gauge barrel. Since it was getting dark, we fast walked back home. No Satan dog because we made it to the road before dark. Get home. Dogs were barking for a few days, but nothing really happens.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.